Hey guys, Tracy Pelfer here. It is 2 o'clock in the morning, Sunday, April the 27th. I finally got some of my things to do list done and thought I would quickly give you a preview of what's coming up. A few subjects. One of them that I've really wanted to go in depth with for a while is world missions. There's been questions for a long time about the money that's taken up in pledges and all, where does it go? And who gets it? Because there is no transparency in this group, so good luck if you go and ask that. But along with the whole money thing and the transparency, or lack of it, when I was recording one of the videos from NTCC and Graham, I really started to pay attention to the live chat that was going on in the side. And it hit me that, wow, Michelle Cespedes, she and her husband are in Puerto Rico. They went there, pretty sure it's been over a year, but I won't say that for sure. I couldn't recall the service where Mike mentioned that they were going there again. This is their second time. They went the first time while our family was still in. We knew them, we had had fellowship with them. Our daughters knew their daughter, and you wonder what kind of support are they getting. The other thing is, I also notice every single service is there's a person called Panama Viewers. I'm pretty sure that's Gonzalez, who is the pastor there in Panama. And I've looked over all of their Facebook pages and YouTube if they have one. I had been looking in at Panama a while ago, and then they stopped. They either stopped showing things or I don't know. I really don't know. Or if for some reason I'm personally not able to see it, but I've tried different ways. It makes me concerned. So these people come, and I look through a lot of the services that I had recorded and thought, they're there all the time. No one can say hi to them in the chat. No one can acknowledge them over the pulpit. Hey, we have with us in our chat Michelle Cespedes. She and her husband are in Puerto Rico, and say something about it. Remind people that they're out there, that they're not forgotten, that they're thought about, that they're loved, that their activities are being shared. The same for Panama. He's there all the time. All the time. You can't say something, you can't greet them, say hello. One of the people that's in the media ministry can't say something, type something. But it would be better if it came over the pulpit, don't you think? To say, hey, we want to acknowledge they're here all the time, watching in on the service. We appreciate them, we love them, and part of your money that we take up for pledges goes there. Who knows where it goes or for what reason or why or how much, because they aren't transparent in all of that. That's part of a big issue, a bigger issue. So then it made me think about the other, I guess you would call them missionaries, whether they are outside of a military installation or not. And so I want to cover that in this upcoming week. I noticed that based on the list that I had posted, I think last year, there's now just one church in Germany. I noticed that recently, I think in March or April, it shows temporarily closed on Google for the one Germany church. I was just concerned because this is the couple that back in May of last year, when the Keckles went on their 2-week European cruise, and I mentioned how they hadn't even stopped in to see the couple in Germany. That couple, the wife is the daughter of the Halls in Glendale, and we know they're very close to the Keckles. So I had found that odd. I went back later on and noticed that the Halls had come in November of this past year to be with their daughter and son in law. And I have to say, having gone out with nothing to try to dig out something in that organization, something that I will never quit reminding you that the Keckles have never, ever, ever done. Ever. Never. They've never done it. My heart is so tender and so, I'm touched by anyone who does that. I don't know what the situation was in Germany when that couple got there. There's been a presence in Germany. I don't know if it's been consistent for all the years, but usually someone's there. And I'll tell you what I was touched by. When I had looked into the Crumps in Germany, because I wanted to see how far they were, why couldn't the Keckles go there? And why we don't really see them going any place where churches are that are outside the United States. I can't count Hawaii, that's United States, so is Alaska, but they are far from the mainland. All I can say about the Halls is I've only heard good things. But here's the thing. We were nice people, our family in the church, but we had to leave because we could not represent a group of people who claimed to be something that they were not. And the Halls know this. So I don't know where's the level where they just realize they can just go be an independent church and reach people and not be associated with a cult. But for whatever reason that they don't, that's between them. That's their gig. They have to figure that out. But when I see young girls who grew up, all they know is the church. And that's both of their daughters. One is up in Alaska and one is in Germany, nowhere near them. How often do they get to see them? So to see the Halls last November over in Germany, having church in this little, I think it's like a cafe or something, with their daughter, who was, they should be very proud of her. I mean, she seems to be just a lovely young lady. She was playing the keyboard, she was singing, lovely. And the two of them, the daughter and Ricky Hall, sang together at the end. And I was bawling. I'm like, they're part of a cult that I was a part of. And just seeing, you could see the broad smiles on their faces. You could see how happy they were to be there with each other. It just exuded. It was just out there. Now, I do not remember hearing anything in Graham about the Halls going to Germany. Maybe they said it. I don't know. You know that I listen to the services, but can one escape me here or there where I miss something like that? Of course it can. So I have to leave that out there, open, that there's the possibility. So I tuned into Crane. I don't know if it was the beginning of April, the end of March, and lo and behold, there was the Hall's daughter standing up after being introduced by Crane. And I noticed her there again this past Sunday when Crane asked everyone to greet one another in the Sunday morning service. I also noticed on the Germany Facebook page that there was a post on April 19th, the day before Easter, just making reference to Easter, but nothing about a service or anything. So they're not listed on the NTCC website anymore, and Google is showing as temporarily closed. I don't know what that means. As I investigated further, I found that instead of 2 churches in South Korea, there's now only 1 outside of Camp Humphreys. And so that could be a decision based on maybe current events that happened to us in the Philippines. Davis had to pull Blumenthal out when there were 2 Americans killed outside of the gate. I believe that was in 19 90. So it could be any number of things, but there's now just one church in Germany, one church in South Korea, and then another one I was thinking about was the Philippines, so I went to look there. Lots of questions around the Philippines for me. As you know, I've mentioned many times I came into contact with NTCC there while in the Air Force in Angeles City. Clark Air Base is no longer there after the volcano blew in 1991. And so, what I've always found interesting, but mostly since getting out, is that you have this supposed Bible school college down in Cagayan de Oro, Philippines. Mike Keckle mentioned the year that they sent toys over to the kids as donations. I think the only time we've ever heard, ever, because it sure never happened under Davis's regime, that something was collected to send to help someone else. That never gets done. Never as a collective, never as a group to help, to take up something to help someone else. They have things like that in their bylaws, they just don't do it. And so they did this token time that they sent toys over to the Philippines. And I think that had more to do, based on what Mike said, with Wayne Cantrell having sent stuff already over there prior to this without fanfare. And so then George Jordan's there, and there was the whole debacle of him getting engaged to the woman there who's the translator before he was even divorced. Then this past year they sent the Godarios from Graham to be the pastor over in the Philippines. What George is doing, who knows? Is he out of sight, but he's still controlling things? Who knows? It's good to have someone there that can speak the language. But here's the thing, that's my question, is so, all this money's taken up for missionaries. I assume it helps to pay for those who are there in the Philippines, because what are they going to get work doing? I don't even know if they're allowed to, if they're there in that capacity. I imagine they are supported by world missions, right? That's the assumption. It's the assumption I always made even when I was in. But where are all these graduates from all the decades? Where are they? Are there even any students now? Is there a school? Are there classes? Keckle made a big show in Graham in the end of 2023 saying, I told them when I was over there, we're all the same school. It's all the same. They're no different. They're no less. Yet you don't hear squat. There's no announcements. There's no excitement or sharing of information about what's going on over there. Are there students? Aren't there? Do they graduate? What do they do when they graduate? Is it a lot like Graham where they just hang around? I don't know. There's one man. He's up in Angeles City. He graduated from the school. And he's a Filipino. Others have been there that were Americans from the organization. You don't hear anything about him. You don't hear anything. Now, if they have a private group somewhere or they say it at conference, is that the same thing, really? Because not everyone who gives is just a minister in NTCC, or are they? Are they the only ones? And do they still put pressure on ministers to give pledges and Bible school students to world missions? It's pretty much like, how can you be a minister in the organization or a student and not give? Even though they don't tell you where the money goes, how much is being spent, or anything. You're just supposed to blindly give. And then Keckle has already set the standard last year when he outed William Davis over the pulpit because he dared to ask a question about world missions and wanted to know on his Facebook page. Is it a loan that people get? Trying to figure it out because they aren't transparent, it leaves it all open to speculation, doesn't it? And and maybe what people who were missionaries share, which probably gets confusing. Why don't they just settle it? Why don't they just say what's what? But they don't. You give, you're just supposed to give. How wise is that to just give to some dude who says, I'm a man of God, give me some money? You should know where your money goes and what it's being used for. Isn't that the wise thing to do? So, what is up with the Bible school? Is that just a sham over there? What is happening there? You don't know because no one says it. And it should be said publicly, and it should be said from Graham. Because if people give from all over who maybe don't go to a conference or aren't in a minister's private Facebook chat or email chat or something, then how do they know? You know people have questions. Where does the money go? If nothing's shady, then just answer the question. Say where it goes. Say how much people get when they're missionaries, because there's plenty of stories through the decades of missionaries living in poverty. It wasn't just from the 80s, it wasn't just from the 90s, it wasn't just from the early 2000s. So all together, their stories, their testimonies ring true to each other. These aren't people who even knew each other to get together to come up with some narrative against the organization. How bad would you feel, like so many of us did back in 2005 when we found out certain situations with the pastor and his wife who were in Panama at the time? Basic things they needed. Basic. I don't know. I don't know how those leaders can live with themselves with the things they know and have known about people who, not just missionaries either, but I will say many ministers in the organization and their families. And you have a man at the top who's clueless and out of touch, he and his wife, because they have never done it. They don't know what it's like. They can't even pretend to know. Because when you know, you know. And when you know that someone understands because they're either living through it or have, there is a bond that is very tight. And it's not surfacey. And you remember it all the time, whether you stay in the organization or not. You still appreciate and think about and are concerned for people. I wonder if anyone now will step up and just ask a simple question of your leaders. Or are you afraid? And if you're afraid, why are you afraid? I give the money. I trust it goes in the right place. No one should be afraid to ask a question because those men and women are accountable to you. We're going to talk about that in a future video as well. Accountability based on the Bible and who is accountable to whom. All right, guys. I hope you have an amazing Tuesday, and we'll be back at this again tomorrow. Thank you. And thank you, too, to everyone who keeps sending me stuff. I love it. You don't bother me. I don't care if it's long or short or anything in between. It just really means the world to me. It's just so appreciated. Thank you.